Hi everybody, Loomaniac here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make the beautiful Remembrance bracelet. And this is designed by the Master of Wide Bracelets at Carolyn Hamlin on Instagram. And this is what it looks like, so you can look her up and follow her. She has amazing designs and renditions of other people's designs, and I absolutely love her account. And this is probably one of my favorite designs ever. It's really awesome, and it does require 3 looms because it's pretty wide, but it's well worth it if you have enough looms. So you will want to have 2 bar pins aligned, and then they will go up at angles to both sides. So you can get your loom set up in that configuration, and we will get started. The first step is to take your perimeter color and go across these first 2 pins. Then you'll just go up to the left. And sorry guys, I have paint all over my hands if you're noticing that. We're doing watercolor and art, so it is everywhere. So place these bands straight up your loom. And you will go until you get to the, 4th pin from the bottom, and then you will turn, or 4th pin from the top, and then you will turn and go into the center. Just like so. And then you can do the same thing on the right. And by the way, if you would like to do a full wrap, I recommend doing a full 2 looms, because this bracelet does kind of scrunch together at the end, so it ends up pretty small even on 2 looms. This one was done on a full 2 looms, and it fits my wrist perfect. So we're just placing this single row all the way up the right side until we get to the 4th pin from the top, and then we'll turn into the left and go until we get to there. And now we are going to start placing our center bands, and we are going to work from the center out with our band placement. So the first step is going to be to place X's. Okay, sorry about that guys, I had to pause for a minute, my phone was ringing again. So if you've watched many of my tutorials, my phone always rings in the middle of them. It never rings any other time, just when I'm doing tutorials. Anyways, now we're going to place X's up these 2 middle rows. So you'll go left and then right. And that's 1 X, and you'll continue that all the way up your loom. Left, right. And also, this design was inspired by Deb's Thing on Instagram, or just Deb's Thing on YouTube. So as you will see, a lot of the looping processes are processes that were used on some of Debbie's designs. And we will go all the way until you reach the very end of those 2 bar pins, just like so. And now our next step is going to be to do the arrows that are going to end up making this color here. So for that, I'm going to be using my jelly pink, and what we're going to do is just place angled bands going from your X's out to the left, and you would just place them going parallel with your perimeter here all the way up until you reach the top. So until you get to there. And now you do the same thing on the right side. And you'll want to use that same color so that it's symmetrical. like so. And now we are going to place single rows of, like a single chain row up the rows where we just placed our arrow bands out to. So you will start here, and you're just going to place a single row all the way up your loom. And then you'll do the same thing on this right side, on the third pin from the left. So you get to the top, just like so, and now we are going to be placing more arrow bands, but this time they are going to go kind of in the opposite shape, or in the opposite direction of our last ones. So you can choose another color or use the same one, whatever you'd like to do. And now you will just be going from the row where we just placed our singles off to the left and downward at an angle. And then once you get up to this perimeter here, you will place another band over that, even though there's already perimeter underneath it. You'll put another one over that, and you'll see why in just a little bit. And now, you'll do the same thing on the right. All the way up and over that perimeter. And now we are going to place singles up to where those arrows reached out to. So you might kind of see the pattern there that we've done. Arrows and then a single, then arrows. And just do that twice, and then our next step will be a little bit different. All the way to the top on both sides. And now we are going to do zigzags on these two outer pins here. Sorry, you guys can probably hear my bunny in the background hopping around. It's being really loud. So now we are going to do a zigzag on our left side, and you'll start from this very outer pin, and you'll come into the right, and then out to the left. And then from there we'll just continue that zigzag going all the way up the loom. And you can kind of push down those bands as you go along. However, this will be our last band placement step, except for the capping bands. Oops. And we are going to go over the perimeter also. So it'll overlap the perimeter. And now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So going from this corner here, we'll go up to the left and inward, and just continue your zigzag from there. And then you're also going to overlap the perimeter at the top. So it should look like that. And now we'll just place some cap bands, which I will spin my loom around to show you that. So you're going to place a cap band at the end here. So you'll make your cap band in your perimeter color and place it over those two pins. And next there will be a cap band also in your perimeter color that will go over this corner here. And over the corner on the right. So we are now ready to loop. Make sure you have your hook ready, and we'll get started with our looping. So our first step of looping is going to be to loop out these side zigzags here, and our first band of the zigzag will be looped just a little bit differently than the rest of it, but after we loop that out of the cap band, then we'll just be looping up a regular zigzag. So you will push back this cap band, grab this top band here, and just pull it back to itself. And now you're going to start a zigzag pattern all the way up your loom. So go back in that cap band, pull out the next band, and then grab the one that's going to pull up to the left, and you simply loop up that zigzag all the way. And after this step, nothing except for the X's is looped just back to itself. It's all looped different. So that's what makes this bracelet a lot of fun, I think. So we get it all the way looped up to the top on the left, just like so. And now we will go over to the right side, and we're going to do that first band that's looped a little bit different. So go to here and pull it back to itself. And then we'll start a regular zigzag. Let's push the cap band back again, and just loop up that zigzag. Okay, just like so. And now we are going to loop our single rows that are that we just looped our zigzags onto. So you'll start down here where this cap band kind of formed. Grab that top band that should go forward, but instead of pulling it forward, you're going to pull it over at an angle. So it should look like that. We'll go into the next one. Grab that band and pull it over at an angle. And this is the kind of looping that was inspired by Deb's thing. So for each one, instead of pulling it back to itself, we pull it off to the left. Just like so. And now you're going to do the same thing on the right side. Push back the cap band there. Grab it, and now this time you're going to pull it over to the right. So you'll grab the one that should go forward, but pull it over to the right instead. Over to the right, to the right. And just make sure you don't accidentally pull it forward once instead. I did that on my last one, and so I have a little messed up spot in it, but okay. Just like this. And now we are going to move on to looping these arrow bands here. So you're going to go back into this cap band. You're going to grab the band out of it, but instead of pulling it back to itself, we're pulling it forward. So I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit. Okay, hopefully you can see a little bit better that way. I changed the angle of my tripod a little bit. Okay, so now we're just going to continue going into here and grabbing the band that would be pulled back to here, but instead we're pulling it up at an angle. So it'll look like this. And you just continue that with each of those up your loom. So that's kind of filling in these empty spaces we had between loops. And on the last one, turn it sideways so you guys can see. We're going to grab it out of there and just pull it forward. So this will kind of stretch a lot, but that's okay. And now you're going to do the same thing on this side. So go into here, and instead of pulling it back to itself, we're pulling it at an angle to the left. And we're going to do that all the way up the loom. And on that last one, we grab it out of there and we pull it up to that pin. Even though it stretches it out, that's okay. And our next step is going to be to loop up these next singles. So pretty much we're just looping our way in. So we're going to start here, and you're going to grab that band, and you're going to pull it over to the right at an angle. So you're going to go up this way. And so whenever you pull them back that way, it's going to kind of overlap the lower arrow. And that is what you want. So we're looping it up like that last single row we did, except for this time we're looping it into the center. And that is our last one. Oops, didn't even realize I was off camera. Sorry about that. I have a really short tripod, so it's kind of a pain because I want it to kind of look down on it so you can see it better, but then it's too short, so. And we're just doing the same thing on this one, except for, of course, we're pulling it to the left. So instead of pulling them forward, pull them off at an angle, and it should overlap these arrow bands underneath. All the way to the top, just like so. And now we are going to loop out these arrow bands underneath here, and that is going to be done just a little bit differently. We are going to loop them downward instead, because we can't really loop them upward or it'd be too long of a stretch. So we're going into here, and we're pulling them backwards, just like that. So you're going to push back this one band on top here, and we're pulling it backwards. Oh wait, sorry about that, guys. Put that back where it was. I messed up. So sorry. So actually, I messed up a little bit whenever we were placing bands. This arrow that's here doesn't need to be there, so you can just remove that. So just that first arrow there. Again, I'm so sorry, guys. So you can just remove that first arrow. I'm really sorry. Okay. So now we're going into the second arrow, and we're pulling it back to itself like this. And we are just looping all of these backwards instead. There's a lot of weird looping, so I kind of forgot how that last one was done, but I remember now. Okay. So it should look like this on that side. And now you're going to do the same thing on this side. So you're going to go into this one, grab it, and pull it back at an angle. So it will look like that. And we continue that all the way up our loom. Okay, so at this point, every single band, every single row, and every arrow band should be looped out. And now we can just loop out our X's in the center. So we're going to push back this cap band, grab the one on top, and pull it back to itself. Grab the next one, pull it back to itself. And now we're just continuing, and we're pulling the top arrow, or the top part of the X, over first. And we're simply looping it up. You can push these bands down if you want. And now we are going to loop up our perimeter. So back in this cap band, pull the band out toward itself. And we're just pulling each band that's in the very bottom back to itself. But you're probably familiar with looping a perimeter if you've already done all the other steps so far, because some of them are kind of tricky. So we just loop it all the way up until you get into center, so you'll turn to the right. And you'll do the other side. Okay, and now I'll turn it sideways so you can see the next step. I'm going to push back all these bands on the right and pull that band up that's underneath. And then kind of hold that on your hook. Push back the bands on the left and pull them up as well. And now you can add your extension onto this, unless you did a full wrap, of course. But I'm actually not going to show that in this tutorial because everyone kind of has different ways they prefer doing that anyways. And most of you know how to do that, I hope, so it just kind of takes extra time from the video. But now you will want to remove it one pin at a time. Don't just rip it off or you will probably break some bands. So I will come right back with a finished product. Okay, and so here's the finished product. I'm not too happy with the colors I used because the pink kind of blends a little bit, but either way, it's a super gorgeous design. And here is the full wrap one I made. I like it much better. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and also make sure to check out her other designs, which is the duetto bracelet that looks like this, the staccato bracelet, and her diamond wave. And all of these tutorials can be found on my channel. And this one is the Remembrance bracelet, which is what you just learned. So if you do make one, please post on Instagram and tag both me and at Carolyn Hamlin, since she is the designer, of course. And you can also subscribe below. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.